Man, this has been a long time coming, and I can't wait to talk about this. So, part 2, games journalism and Gamergate. Okay, let's begin. So let me take you back again to 2013, before everything went downhill. Anita Sarkeesian, this one person that has just generated a lot of debate and a lot of hatred, she released the first episode of Tropes vs. Women in Video Games, and everybody exploded with rage. Everybody. And there were a few level-minded people in the group, and I applaud them for staying cool. But a lot, and I mean a lot of people went after her and attacked her on Twitter and on the comments section, and I have to say it was not called for, man. You know, I disagree with her views, but I defend the right for her to say them. Okay, I am for gamers. I don't agree with what she says. I think what she says is incorrect in my opinion. I feel like it could have been researched a little bit better. But whatever, she put some work into it, and there was a lot of controversy surrounding it. You know, people saying, oh, she took footage from Let's Players and used them without permission, and others saying, oh, she started a Kickstarter for it, but didn't even spend the research money. And is it true or not? I don't know. It was never confirmed nor denied. In my opinion, I would see that people were claiming it, but I don't see evidence of it. But anyway, so she started this video series, and everybody got mad. And she would block people from Facebook and Twitter that were posting these things. She disabled comments. She turned off ratings. And a lot of people are like, oh, she's doing that because she doesn't want to have a discussion. I'm like here thinking, and I've been thinking about this for a while. And what I think about this whole blocking conversation thing is this. If it was a threat, then she has the right to block. If it was a question and it was posed against her, then I think that is a little bit censorship. You know, you shouldn't be saying, okay, you dare to say something against my views. No. You know, there have been instances where she would censor somebody for just posing a question about her series. The comments and the ratings, honestly, it was a smart move on her part, only because if you go onto a YouTube video and see that has more dislikes than likes and has a bunch of negative comments, people aren't going to watch. People aren't going to stay and watch. So she did that so that way people would stay and watch, and also so that way she could stop seeing all this hate. But so that was the whole incident that lit the fuse. And then months later, this whole Gamergate thing and games journalism explodes. The fuse ran out and everything exploded. So, what caused this explosion? Well, it all started when this one developer, Zoe Quinn, she allegedly, I don't know if this was confirmed or not either, I honestly don't, I want to believe it's not true. I want to believe that there are at least some form of ethics in games journalism, but I don't know anymore. So supposedly she slept with some reviewers or had a relationship with them or something like that, and to get, you know, and that would in turn like get her positive reviews. Not like it was. I don't think it was a favor for him. I think it was more like, hey, let's be friends, and then since they're friends, she would get better reviews. And I'm not here to question anyone's lifestyle. If you want to go ahead and just be with a bunch of guys and whatnot, that's fine. I don't care. It's just that it would affect the reviews in a way that if I had a friend who, let's say my best friend, if my best friend invents something or creates a movie or a game and I review it, I'm probably gonna, favor it a little more than if someone else did. And that's just what kind of like the whole problem was. You shouldn't be all buddy buddy with game reviewers. You can talk to them and say hi, but being so close and being near best friends, that would affect the reviews. And with games journalism, we want honesty. We want people that will tell us whether a game is good or bad. And we want to, we just want someone to do that. It's not a lot to ask for, really. And then this whole thing exploded from there. People were saying she shouldn't be doing this, and then games journalism was fighting back, saying, "Oh, they're after us," and blah, and it's like, oh man, they're after us. They hate games journalists. They want to destroy our lifestyles. And it's like, oh, she's a female developer. They're attacking her. I mean, yeah, man, I can't speak. They're attacking her because she's female. Gamers are saying, no, we're not. We're questioning her because of the actions that she did. And then this whole thing exploded, and eventually it led to this war where basically games journalists were calling gamers dead, was one of their words that they used. I'll get to that later. They said that gamers were sexist, and that that we need to grow up, that the old definition of gamer is over and all that. And we were saying, no, we want honesty, we want clarity, we want ethics. We disagree. And then you have the extremists on both sides. There's always the extremists. There was the extremist gamers that would send death threats and whatnot, and that was uncalled for. And you had the journalist extremists that would see no argument from us. They would disregard everything that we said and just attack. And so it was really something that when looking at it, I just didn't like. And I'll tell you right now what the biggest error in all of it was, okay? The thing is with journalism, you gotta be honest, You can be friends with whoever, but you gotta be honest. And you gotta make it so that way the consumer believes in what you say. You can't have the consumer be the enemy. And the mainstream media, as much as I don't like the mainstream media, I don't care for the latest pop song, I don't care about pop music or whatever the mainstream music is now, and I don't care to hear celebrity gossip. That's just not me. I don't watch shows like E! News, Access Hollywood, Entertainment Tonight, etc. I don't care about celebrity news. I don't care about what's going on in the music industry because what is being produced is not to my liking. That's just my opinion. I prefer to just watch the movies that are made. I just prefer to go back and listen to some Queen or some Aerosmith or some Green Day or something like that. But with mainstream media, they have this vibe around them that says everyone in the industry is buddy-buddy with each other, and they include the consumer, even though there is this slight... You can't even hear it, though. It's there, but you can't even hear it. And what I'm referring to is this whole thing where everyone in the industry is friends with each other. They make the consumer feel welcome, but they know that the consumer will never reach them. They'll never be, most of them, the majority of the consumers will never be a famous movie star. They'll never work in the industry, etc. There are a few handful exceptions that will make it. And they will just talk about each thing. And you'll see one actress say she's friends with this person. And you'll see someone, say they're friends with that person, but they know how to make it so that way, even though there is a little bit of this whole thing where it's like we're famous and you're not, it's unheard, you don't hear it really, and they don't make the consumer mad. They keep the consumers happy. With games journalism, they didn't make the consumer happy. They upset the consumer. They turned the consumer against them, and that's the one thing you don't want to do. So, because mainstream media, they never attack. They never go after. Sure, there was like this whole hacker thing with celebrity news or whatever, but they never attacked. They just said, "Oh, it's sad." They didn't say, "Oh, all you consumers are the problem. You all want to see this and that. Well, you can't have." They never attacked. They just said it was a bad thing that happened, and they moved on. Games journalists, they didn't. They didn't move on. They attacked, and everything exploded from there. And they said in the rage that gamers are dead, and I don't think that's true. I think that the old stereotype, I think what they were referring to was the stereotype, but the way they worded it seemed like an attack. And so I don't believe gamers are dead. I believe that we are no longer a group of just men that play games. We are no longer just people that live in a world surrounded by NES games and live in our parents' houses or whatever, even though most gamers probably don't live in their parents' houses because, you know, people just play games to have fun. So we're no longer just mostly guys. We're not a guys club anymore. We are basically the world as it is. You know, everybody games. Everybody does. Okay? Men, women, children, the mom that plays Candy Crush on her smartphone and also Angry Birds a little bit, she's a gamer. The elderly that go in the retirement homes and they play Wii bowling because it's the only real form of bowling that they can do because of how, like, fragile they are in their old age. They're gamers. The kid that plays, I don't know, just some basic apps or just anything really, they're a gamer. There's a lot of people that play games, you know, from all over the world, everywhere. And so we're no longer just one group. We are a diverse group, a community, a population, if you will. And so gamers aren't dead. And then this started the whole not your shield thing because game journalists and whatnot, they were saying, you know, the gamers, they're evil and they're like this and that and they hate women. And then everybody was coming out and saying, no, I don't hate women, I just disagree with this thing, not your shield. And then the games journalists retracted with, no, we're not talking about you guys are cool. And there is this one quote, and I forget who said it. I am sorry if I have forgotten you, but one guy said, if you're a cool guy and you just play games, that's fine. I have no problem with you, or something along those lines. I forget the actual quote as well. Don't have it written down. But along those lines, you know, if you're a cool person and you play games, just be a cool person and play games. And I agree. Just do that. There shouldn't be this whole attack. There shouldn't be all this war between the two groups going on, but there is, you know, and nobody really will take one side, take some middle ground. There's no real middle ground right now, and it's so hard to make a discussion about it because rarely do we see the other person's opinion. Often people tend to just listen to what they want to hear. Gamers, I mean, honestly, from my experiences, I tend to like go on YouTube and watch videos. And when I was learning about all this, I would watch videos where the person would talk from a gamer's perspective. I never really looked at it from the games journalist perspective. And that's the same for them. You know, the games journalists, they don't really want to hear it from us. But I can still try and listen. And I did. I watched some of Anita Sarkeesian's videos, and I'll talk about those shortly. But, you know, honestly, it's just hard to have a discussion. And then they also, the games journalists, they went to the mainstream media, and then the mainstream media reported on it a little bit, and they got some of the story wrong. You know how it is. Just trying to make it so that way it seems like the games journalists are the victim, when in reality, both sides are the victim. I don't think there's just one victim. I think there's two. The games journalists who make their living off of reviews and reporting news on gaming. You know, now if you're not corrupt or if you're honest, people aren't going to see you as that. People are going to say, oh, you're a games journalist. They're not going to look too deep into it. And the gamers are also the victim because they still have this idea around them that says they're negative, they are sexist, and everything in that like. It's so hard to be a gamer because the mainstream media, whenever there's a school shooting or something like that, and the kid played games, you know, they'll look at that. They'll say, maybe games are the problem because people just don't have the time of day to think for themselves and look into an issue. And this is a good argument for not believing in statistics. I honestly, whenever I look at a statistic, I have a tendency to be skeptical about it, and that's probably a good thing. That's probably a really good thing to be able to do. But I just find that I can't trust any statistic, whether from either side, because I don't know whether that test was done fairly or not. You know, there are tests out there that say video games don't cause violence. There are tests out there that say they do. And which one was paid for, which one was endorsed, I don't know. Maybe both, maybe neither. Who knows? But yeah, so I don't tend to believe in statistics. I don't like the whole idea of, because I just can't trust them. You know, a statistic could easily be messed with in a way. You could even take out some variables in there, you know? So the mainstream media, they back them, and in the gaming, just gamers, they look like they're people that are these like monsters who are sexist and murderers and all that, and we're not. We just want to play games. And so going back to Anita Sarkeesian and all this started, she's continued to talk about things and her work, and it's a good thing that she's continuing to do her series, because I feel like once it's all said and done, everything will become a little bit better. You know, once this series is done, her tropes versus women in video games, she'll you know, I don't know if we'll hear from her again. Probably not. Maybe we will. Who knows? But the whole controversy will die down a little bit. And so she's posted more videos, but when it comes to her, it really is a large debate, mostly because she keeps getting attacks. You know, she keeps getting death threats. There was one that was sent to this Utah State University because she was going to speak there, and one guy threatened, or you know, someone threatened, I don't know who it was, but somebody threatened that there was going to be a shooting if she spoke there. And in Utah, there's laws where you're allowed to, you know, carry weapons and guns and whatnot in public places. And so, excuse me. And so, Anita Sarkeesian, she was like, can we get some extra security? Maybe make it so that way weapons can't be brought into this thing. And they're like, no, that's not how we do things. That's against our laws. So she canceled it. because she felt endangered. I feel like that's a sad thing, because maybe we could have gotten closer to a conclusion in all this if she had spoke there. I feel like censoring her is just as bad as censoring people who want to have a discussion. And so in the games media, they side with her. And so Game Informer, in their issue 259, it highlighted Resident Evil Revelations 2. That was the cover. They did an interview with her, and they talked about her work and what she was doing. And so in the feedback section of issue 261, the sci-fi edition, they had the people write in. One person, a couple people said yes, said some positive things, and only one, as it seemed negative. Now, they did say in the reply that they did receive a lot of negative comments, but they only showed one. And so let me read you the letter. Daniel Peterson wrote this, so here you go. You're going to be mentioned. So, I quote, "I found your interview to be very biased in favor of Mrs. Sarkeesian. It only provides a one-sided point of view, with her being portrayed as a victim who is only trying to do good in the gaming community. Why don't you ask the obvious questions, like how much research did she do with the money she raised, or what does she say to those who have offered counter-arguments to her video series? Also, where are these examples of her getting harassed and threatened with death and rape? I can't recall anyone going to that extreme against her online. So again, I ask, why was only one side presented to us?" I looked at the interview a little bit, and it did seem like they were talking mostly about the video series and how she was working with developers. And as someone who has done news pieces before, I had a video production class in my high school, and I did some news pieces. And the thing about doing news is that you try to convey one point, one very small point. You can't take a broad topic like Anita Sarkeesian and make an entire interview off of that. You can only focus on one thing. However, there is the issue of staying unbiased. You gotta show multiple sides. I don't think they really did, but at the same time, I understand that they were trying to ask about what she's doing in her line of work and what she was working with developers. So, here is their reply. "We received plenty of negative responses to our interview with Mrs. Sarkeesian, most of which were too vitriolic to print," and that's probably why there's only one negative. Maybe there's another reason. Who knows? I'll just go off of the idea that, yeah, most of them you couldn't print. "Even the civil letters seem hopelessly preoccupied with discrediting her work in an attempt to invalidate or outright ignore her criticisms, but only the most meticulously vetted and incontrovertible, big words, you know, opinions are allowed on the internet. What's even more insidious is the casual way some can't read, guys. Way some readers question her motives, her credentials as a gamer, and worst of all, the instances of harassment. For the record, the most recent death threats against Mrs. Sarkeesian were sent to and reported by Utah State University. The threats are real, and not only do they support the argument that the gaming community can be inhospitable towards women, we will continue to take a zero-tolerance policy against any kind of harassment. You don't have to agree with any of Ms. Sarkeesian's opinions, but like everyone else, she has the right to voice them." I have a few issues with their reply. First off was when they said that people are trying to discredit her work in an attempt to invalidate or ignore her criticisms. I feel like no. Are people ignoring it? Yes, a little bit. But there are many, many people that are trying to have a discussion. I want to have a discussion. I'd be glad to have a discussion about her points and her ideas. I would like to talk about what I see in gaming, what I see when she brings up the issues of sexism. I would love to have a discussion, but she rarely does. She just posts these videos, makes some tweets, and I don't see a lot of discussion between the two groups. So, excuse me again. So I don't think that people are trying to invalidate her work and discredit it and ignore her criticisms. There is definitely people out there that say, "Oh, she stole Let's Play footage, and so it's a fraud." But I feel like both sides need to have a discussion. And another problem was that when they said some readers question her motives, her credentials as a gamer, and worst of all, the instances of harassment. Okay, I kind of agree with this. Is she a gamer? Well, if she plays video games, then yes. But it's just the wording of it. They're just shocked at this, and it's like there's extremes on both ends of everything. It's just how it is. The death threats are real. Yes, I agree. But here's where another issue, a major issue with it comes from. The threats are real, and not only do they support the argument that the gaming community can be inhospitable towards women, that phrase, inhospitable to women. I don't agree with how they said that. I don't agree with what they're saying in that. It's not that we are inhospitable to women, okay? There are plenty of women gamers. There are plenty of people that are male and play games, many people that are women and play games, and people of all shapes, sizes, and backgrounds, etc. I don't see a girl playing games and say, nope, you can't do it. No, I welcome them. I say, you're a gamer, go right ahead. And I think a lot of people do as well. Blanket statements like these that just take certain little instances of people saying, oh, no, she's like, no, like the extremists, the people that say women can't play games, blah, blanket statements that say, okay, everyone is like this. No, just a few people are like this. Only a few. Don't blame me. Don't blame people who are level-headed individuals that will just welcome. Don't do that. And it doesn't support it. Just because, and I'm not even sure if it's a valid argument anymore, because let's face it, if so many people aren't angry and aren't hospitable against women in gaming, then really you just have a couple extremists, and you got to address that it's only a few bad apples, and that's the thing, that on both sides there are bad apples in the group. Bad apples in journalism, bad apples in gaming. And the whole communities of games journalism and media are like games journalism and media and gamers. They're like two different pies. Okay, weird analogy, I know, but bear with me. And if you have a couple bad apples mixed into that pie, the pie itself is going to taste bad. That's what's happening here. There are a few bad apples, and it makes everyone seem bad, and that's not fair. There are a lot of good people, a lot of good apples in there. And so I don't agree that we are inhospitable. I just feel like there are a few extremists out there, and you're just cherry-picking your arguments. You're saying, oh, look, that one said something against women. All gamers are evil. No. It's just him. It's not me. It's him. And then they end with, you don't have to agree with what she says, but like everyone else, she has the right to voice them. They didn't have a name for whoever wrote the reply, just probably someone on the staff. Who knows? And I agree. Everyone has the right to say whatever they want. That's why I'm posting this video, and that's how I'm posting this video, because I have the right to say whatever I want. But I feel like, and they say that you can disagree, and I disagree. But what's the point of disagreeing when you can't have a discussion? Nothing changes if you don't have a discussion. Nothing. And so I want to discuss one of her most recent videos, tropes versus women, and talking about NPCs and background characters. So I'm going to just take a drink real fast. My mouth is getting dry. Better. So there are a few points that I want to discuss. One of them was she was talking about how in games like Grand Theft Auto and in Red Dead Redemption and other such open world sandbox games, you have random events that depict women getting hurt in some way, domestic abuse or something else. And she's like, they respawn after just a couple minutes, and she was saying how it was bad and whatnot. First, I want to say that it's in there for a reason, and the reason is to make the game world feel real, alive. The point of making such an open world game is to make it so that way it's immersive to the player. It makes it feel like they're in another world similar to ours. And the game itself is not promoting these actions. They're not saying, hey, why don't you practice domestic violence and whatnot. No one's saying that. No one is. And the reason they respawn Mrs. Sarkeesian is because of how the game is coded and programmed. With these random events, they are set in a certain time slot, and within that time slot, they have to be able to spawn in at any given moment when the player reaches some sort of range, so that way they can partake in the event, so that way they can stop it if they so choose. And she complained that the player is given the option to either choose or to sit and watch, to stop it or don't. And you can't be so forceful when it comes to gaming. You can't tell the player what to do all the time, especially in an open world sandbox game with the missions and the main story. Yeah, you can, but there's multiple options to go and take place and complete the mission. When you're just in the world as it is and just doing things, then you have to give the players the opportunity to do what they want. So if they do come across these random encounters, then they have to have the choice to be able to stop it or to let it progress. And that's why it is programmed in such a way. So I disagree with what you're saying there. I agree that the actions are horrible, and in real life people do get arrested for those, okay? But with gaming, real life is different from real life, okay? Gaming is separate. It doesn't have to be completely real. And that leads to one thing you said at the end, which I will end this part of the discussion on. So I feel that we shouldn't remove these. Not because I like to see it, I don't, but it's because it's there for a reason, to make the game real, to make it feel alive. You also bring up how you can kill women and they just disappear, like little NPCs, and that's true for all of the NPCs. That's how they're programmed. So you can't say, oh, well, when you do it to women, it's bad. No, you can't cherry pick it. Okay, that's just how the game's programmed. The game is programmed so that way, whenever an NPC dies, they don't stay there forever. It wouldn't be fun if you just, after killing so many NPCs, you would just like be walking in a pile of them. You know, that wouldn't be fun. You go on to say in another point that in GTA you can kill a prostitute, get your money back, and then you can either get arrested, and then you walk free. That's true, and it is there because it makes the game fun. Okay. The thing about GTA is, and you bring this up, how a lot of characters are these anti-hero people, and that's how these games work. Okay, you're not playing as some goody two-shoes person. You're playing as a criminal. Criminals partake in prostitution sometimes. Okay, so I respectfully disagree when you say that it should be banned. I believe it's there so that way, A, the game is real and it feels immersive and it feels like... And another point is with the GTA games, they do take place in fake cities, often based off of real cities. GTA 5 is based off of Los Santos, which is the Hollywood area, and San Andreas, you know, all that. Hollywood, Los Angeles, etc. And GTA 4 is based off of Liberty City, and it's based off New York. There you go. And in those cities, a lot of crime does take place, as true for other major cities. So that is why you can do these things, because it would feel odd if there was a major city and you didn't have crimes like this to be able to take part in. I don't feel like this solution, in your eyes, in your opinion, you say that we should get rid of these instances. You also cite that the game, like inside GTA 5, there's a strip club you can go to, have a private dance, and if you build enough likability or something, you can drive the worker there home, and etc. And then you can kill her and whatever. That makes the game feel realistic. That's the point. The game's supposed to have some sort of realism to it, but it also has to have some extreme non-realism to it. Okay, like the prostitutes, the strip clubs, and speaking of the prostitutes, you do say that at one point there are a lot of depictions of Asian women who speak in this broken English that just, sell their bodies and whatnot, prostitute themselves, and you say it is a little racist with the broken English, and that part I do sort of agree on. It could be a little less broken. They could be a little fluent in English, I guess, but we can't always be completely 100% politically correct. Like in those parts, they like if the girl was in America or an English-speaking country, then I guess at that point it shouldn't be broken English. But if they live in their own country, maybe they should either speak the native language or the broken English, whatever. But so I understand where you're coming from with the racism, and I can kind of see that. But still, I must say we can't be always politically correct. We can't always have everything be rainbows and gumdrops. There has to be a certain time and place where yeah, we do have these situations of strip clubs and prostitution and whatnot. Um, I feel like the answer is not to take these elements out of the game because they are there for a reason. You say that the solution is not to add this with men, and then I ask, what is the solution? If the solution is not to make it equal by including a strip club that has men in there, or men prostitutes, then what is the answer then? Because we can't remove it, and we can't add things to balance it out a little bit. What's the solution? I feel that it is a tough question, one that does take a lot of time to think about. I would say that maybe, I don't know. It's a tough question. You know, if I'm looking for a compromise, but yeah, it's hard to find one. You know, I think she has a point when she says adding, you know, men into the mix wouldn't really solve the problem. I say that it would make some people happy if they were in there, but at the same time, I think that we would just be building the fire a little bit. So I don't know what the solution is. Maybe someone smarter than me can find a solution, but I don't think the solution is to remove these parts of the game. If the solution is to add in the men, maybe that's what we do. If the solution is to let it alone and not change the problem whatsoever, then I don't know. Maybe that could be the best course of action. Who knows? And you end the topic of NPCs and female NPCs with saying how we tend to hold a suspension of disbelief for fantasy elements, broken physics, and infinite lives, and etc. But we don't blink an eye when it comes to these depictions of women. I disagree because the point is that games are built to be fun. They're a form of entertainment. If we had everything be correct in it, physically and politically and whatnot, the game would be not fun anymore. Imagine playing any video game, GTA for example, and you have one life, just like in real life. Imagine you're in one of the first missions and you die. Or you're early on in the game and you die. And the game's over. No more chances. You know? You have to start all over again because, you know, your character died. That wouldn't be fun. Or imagine playing Assassin's Creed, any of them, and jumping from a tall building into like a stack of hay or a barrel of hay, and you died because the hay wouldn't suppress the fall enough, and you would hit the concrete or the wood in the basket or whatever and die. And you start all over again. What fun is that? That's not fun at all. You know, you die and then you have to start all over again, and that defeats the purpose of the free running abilities of Assassin's Creed. So, excuse me. So, the point is, games aren't meant to be realistic. They are meant to be fun. So, and we do joke about this, you know, the whole, like, unrealistic sides of gaming. It's a joke. It's a meme, you know? It's fun. So, I don't think you shouldn't say these things, Anita. I feel like you have valid ideas, but I feel like they are... I see where the thought process was, but I don't think that your solutions are the solution we need. I don't see the problem that you see. I don't, and maybe that's because I'm a guy and you're a girl. Maybe that's the whole thing, you know. Maybe that's it. But even if we did take a step back and say, okay, we'll let you do whatever you want, you would change the whole damsel in distress thing. You would change the whole woman in the background thing. What would gaming be like then? Well, let's look at Mario. Princess Peach doesn't need saving. We don't have any reason to go fight Bowser because nothing bad happened. Game's over. You know? Just, I don't know, sit at home, drink some tea or something with the princess. I don't know. Have a discussion. See, that doesn't seem like fun. You know? How about Legend of Zelda? Let's see. Princess Zelda's not in danger. Ganon ain't returning because whatever. I don't know. We don't have any real reason to fight Ganon unless he tries to take over the world, but he can't really do that without all the pieces of the Triforce or whatever. He didn't kidnap Zelda, so I mean, I don't know. So unless he attacks some village or something, you know, that's all it really will be, you know. Ocarina of Time would be a completely different game, you know. Zelda wouldn't be captured, and maybe Ganon wouldn't have succeeded in his attempts. So, who knows? What are some other games that we can talk about? How about Grand Theft Auto? Yeah, how about that? So, what if everything was super hyper realistic and it was like if you committed a crime and you got killed, then the game's over. Or maybe they didn't even want to be criminals. Who knows? You know? So there are a lot of instances where I'm going to take a drink again. Talk for so long, you know? Anyway, so the reason why games are unrealistic is because it makes it possible. If we made games completely politically correct and we made everything correct when it comes to the physics of the game and everything else, we would be left with little to nothing. You know, Call of Duty wouldn't be that much fun if once you died, you know, you're done playing multiplayer. Or, you know, the whole thing with whole thing with Mario would basically not be non-existent. And I want to disagree with you on the whole damsel in distress thing as a whole. I understand that, yeah, sure, maybe we could have a little bit less stories with it. I mean, Mario is basically built off that, so not him. But the thing is, though, that the original idea for Mario and whatnot, and saving a princess or a girl or something, dates back to Popeye, the Sailor Man, because Shigeru Miyamoto wanted to make a Popeye game where Popeye saves olive oil from whatever the villain from Popeye is. I'm drawing a blank on that. I think it starts with a B or something like that. Anyway, so when he couldn't get the rights, he made Mario and Donkey Kong and the game Donkey Kong, and there you go. That's how it all started. If you ever wondered, the whole damsel in distress in video games thing started from Donkey Kong and Shigeru Miyamoto wanting to make a Popeye video game. So there you go. So I disagree when you say that we shouldn't have it. I think that maybe we could cut back a little bit and have some different stories. You know, we should have more games like Portal. That was a fun game. You know, maybe have some where the male protagonist doesn't have to, save anyone. Or we have a couple of female protagonists, who knows, it would be interesting to see more female protagonists. I'll agree with you on that. But I don't think the solution to everything is to just take out anything that depicts one group as inferior to another. That would, I feel like equality exists in the real world, but the world of video games is an entirely different place. And I just don't think that the solution to these problems that you see is to make everything correct. And what I want to end this discussion on is this. Whenever talking about anything when it comes to Anita Sarkeesian or games journalism, it always boils down to this. We get close and close. The way I see it, it's like them rallying at some meeting or something, or protesting out somewhere, and us gamers that want to have a discussion, the ones that are level-headed, the ones that try to see the other side of things and then disagree respectively. They say, hey, let's have a discussion. We'll do what we'll go to a coffee shop or something, or have lunch, If you want to pay for it, you can pay for your half or the whole thing. Doesn't matter. We just want to have a discussion with you. And just right before they say yes, one of the extremists from either side throws something, a bottle or a brick or whatever, or say something harsh, and then the games journalists, they're like, never mind, you guys were trying to trick us into something. And then we're like, no, we weren't. You guys said something harsh to us, and both sides walk away angry. And everybody's like, why'd you do that? Gamer, especially with the gamer side of things, gamers are like, why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Why'd you threaten? And then we take some steps back, and then we do the slow approach again, and then it's just an endless cycle of we're almost there, and then it gets pulled away from us from an extreme person who is extremely angry or something or whatever, and it is very upsetting to see that we get so close, but we never reach the goal. And so, what I want to say is let's just game. After not only the whole Gamergate thing and games journalism, but also with game developers, let's just game. So, speaking to everybody in this whole current state of gaming, gamers, the journalists, Anita Sarkeesian, developers and publishers, everybody who's involved in the industry, let us enjoy this holiday season. Let us play games with our friends and family, relax, have some good food over the holidays, order a pizza or two, and then have Christmas dinner with the family. Let's all relax, enjoy the holidays, and maybe if it snows, enjoy the snow. Might not. And then in 2015, let's all just come back with cooler heads than we started with. And if we decide to continue this discussion, we'll continue it in a calm and respectful manner. And if we decide to go our separate ways and let each other do their own thing, and we'll do that. Okay, we'll not talk to each other, but with the condition that if something goes wrong in any field, whether a game gets published and is unfinished and broken, or whether or not a games journalist says something or gives an unfair review, or if a gamer says something harsh or does something to discredit someone, we all agree not to lash out, but to have a calm discussion about why what happened was wrong and what we can do to move on and stay calm. That's all I ask, is that everybody stays calm and we just have a discussion if we want to have that discussion. That is all, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.